Should I ask, when, and I don't mean no offense by this, but a lot of people use this terminology. What was your come to Jesus moment?
Yeah, you can ask that.
Okay. So what was that?
I had a near-death experience on 495.
On 495. So for most folks that don't know that, that's on the East Coast.
Correct, yes.
Which I'm assuming you're also from the East Coast.
I am.
Let's talk about that. 495, near-death experience.
Right, I was driving in the middle lane going 72 miles an hour when a Lexus SUV came down an embankment and crossed in front of my car. But by the grace of God, I was saved and protected. And that was in August 2015.
Wow, 72 miles per hour. Dude, that's pretty fast.
2 miles an hour.
Wow, that's pretty fast. I mean, I drive fast, but not on 495, not like that. So, okay. So continue. You didn't get into a wreck, did you?
No, God protected me.
Okay, so you have this incident, you don't get into a crash, and then you have this moment of revelation.
Right.
Like I said, what most people would call a come to Jesus moment.
Right. I needed to stop lying, stealing, being deceptive, and I needed to start living an honest lifestyle.
So let me ask you a question. So this information that's hitting you at that moment, was that a self-conscious revelation, or did you hear a voice? I mean, like some people would say, hey, did you hear, a boom from a burning bush? Like, give me some details.
No, I mean, it was a revelation that I needed to start living a different lifestyle.
Okay. I'm pretty sure that happens to a lot of people. I mean, there are people out there, especially nowadays, and I'm pretty sure you can either agree or disagree that the time that we're living in is very precarious for everybody.
It is, yes. The level of people are very on edge all the time, yes. And you just never know what somebody's going to do.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I watch the news. I wouldn't say religiously, but, I go through the news quite a bit, and I watch videos of very strange events. And, the way I see it is people are behaving as though they are rats on a sinking ship.
Mm-hmm.
And if they feel that way, then, obviously they must be feeling something. I mean, by nature, right, we have these instincts, and, our instincts tell us, danger or, something's good.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're living in a time where there's a lot of danger.
Right.
And, your situation, which is currently like 10 years ago, I mean, you got a head start. You got a head start before most people.
Right.
And what would you say to people now? Because, obviously you're going to have, your critics that they're going to say, oh, he's delusional. He's a Bible thumper. They have all the titles for everything. When someone experiences something at that level, that personal experience is, I mean, it's unique for some. It's a rite of passage for other. And I'll use that term again. It's a revelation too,
right?
Where we're waking up.
Mm-hmm.
That alarm clock is going off, and it's telling you, hey, the time is near. Okay, the end time is here.
Yes.
And I know I don't talk enough about that in my podcast. I do profess to be a Christian, although I'm not a very good one, because every day is a constant battle for me, with, what I have to deal with. But the one thing that I am very self-conscious is that I don't blame God. I know that, I have a free will along with everybody else, and every decision I make has nothing to do with God, although His presence is ever present,
Hmm.
and I can't say that I'm not unaware of what His expectations are for us, the gift that He gave us for His salvation. So I'm not going to sit here and deny that, because that's what a lot of people will do. They will deny it. They'll blame God. Well, why does He let small children get cancer, or why do people kill each other? And it just, for me, it just goes back to the very beginning, because we are cursed. Because
Right.
the initial, that initial grace period that we had with God in the Garden of Eden, because that's really where it goes back to.
Right.
We were cursed when we failed as human beings.
Well, we were first when Adam and Eve sinned.
Yes, yeah, the original sin.
Right.
And some will say, well, it's not fair. They're not my, they're not my parents. They're not my family. And boy, do they have a lot to learn about genealogy.
Hmm.
We didn't just come. We didn't. Our existence did not happen because of some primordial soup. I don't believe that. I don't
Right.
believe that our ancestors are apes either. Although
Right.
some people act that way, but that's beside the point. All right, but look, it looks like I'm taking over. I want to hear, your side of it. I want to hear, what is your message? Because, obviously, that's the reason why you and I are talking, because you have a message.
My
And
message is that it depends. I have many messages,
okay,
but my story and why I was in prison was because I allowed my emotions to take over, and I did not exercise. Um, I acted impulsively. So
okay,
I have Asperger's and I'm on the autism spectrum, and the shadow is impulsivity. So I
right.
allowed the impulsivity to take over and acted irrationally.
So
So
can we talk
is
about that? What you
sure,
did? What
yeah,
was that? What was that? Could we? May I call it a moment of weakness? Would that be fair?
yeah, I think it is absolutely.
Okay, okay,
So the moment of weakness was allowing my emotions to take over, and because the car dealership didn't pay me my commissions, I tried to sell one of their cars.
gotcha. Was that normal for the car dealership to do something like that? Sounds like they were,
They're
they were stiffing you.
notoriously shady individuals. They're just they have
Reputation.
a reputation of being less than honest.
Wow. And I'm pretty sure everybody out there they can relate to that, because even what, Matt, even that is something that I've noticed lately, that you know you would think that reputation of dishonesty, deception, that is limited to one incident or maybe two, but I see it a lot more. And even in our government, with all these things that are coming to fruition, all the corruption,
Hmm.
all the deception that that they've committed on Americans, and even people abroad. I mean, it almost feels like all that evil that has been permeating and just cooking over time is now reaching the top of the pot, and it's going to boil over.
Right, right.
I mean, what is your biggest concern with our society now?
There's a lot of concerns. I feel like a lot of people have church hurt in the past, and they don't want to go back to the church. I feel like a lot of people are allowing their emotions to take over and acting irrationally.
Right.
And I think that a lot of people are not seeking help when they need it.
So when you say seeking help, what type of help do you think they need?
Mental health help. For me, I don't think therapy is helpful. I've
Okay.
seen probably 30 therapists in my life, and I don't find it to be helpful. I personally believe that men's work, going to a men's weekend, is much more beneficial, where men will open up and be vulnerable rather than talking to a stiff across a table who's going to write a lot of notes. And I don't know anything about this guy, but at least at a men's weekend, everybody shares. Nobody's off limits. Even when the staff open up and talk about. I mean, it's not for them, but we still open up.
And you think that's what we're missing in society?
Yeah,
Is men being able to talk
show
to
emotions.
show
Yes.
emotion? Okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of men are stuffing emotions, and then it gets out of hand.
That's fair. That's fair to say. I would agree. But I'd like to know what was your childhood experience with
Well,
religion or finding that spiritual path?
well, I was bullied throughout almost all of my childhood and even into adolescence because I was
Why?
overweight. I was overweight,
Oh, okay.
and I was different. I have autism and on the Asperger spectrum, so the way I process things and I do things is very different than other people who are neurotypical.
Do you still consider yourself autistic?
I don't like to put labels. I think
Oh,
putting labels
okay.
on somebody is not helpful or beneficial. Um, but
Well, the reason. Well,
I
I'm
do
sorry.
understand, that other people may not understand how I do things, but what other people think of me is none of my business.
Right. I understand.
So,
Well, the reason why I brought that up is because when you mentioned that you were on the spectrum,
mhm.
so it kind of sets me, puts me back. And I'm saying, well, wow, if you are, you definitely don't, you don't. For me, you don't fit that criteria,
Well,
or maybe my mind is prejudiced of what, I assume being autistic is because like you said, there's a spectrum. So if there's a spectrum, obviously there are levels.
there's levels, right?
Right.
So, I,
There are levels of the abilities that an autistic person would have.
right.
It's
So I,
no, and the thing, and I'm sorry, and the other thing that I'm learning is that having autism isn't a disability at all.
it isn't. No, it's
It's
not.
almost like you have a different ability.
Right.
I just saw a story of a kid. I don't know what level of a spectrum he's in, but he can play the piano, and he never had a lesson in his life.
Hmm.
So, when I think about anyone that has an ability like that, it's like the brain has been rewired.
Right.
Given someone a better uh, better attention span in one area, a really good focus, which I think all humans could possibly have if we didn't have so many distractions.
Right.
You know,
Hmm.
like I know when you and I first talked, you said that you had a lot of things you wanted to talk about. So let me throw this one out to you. Let's talk about transgenderism. What are your thoughts about that?
I am absolutely against it. It's trying to force. First of all, well, let's just start with the fact that you're taking a bunch of hormone, and you are that there. It won't help you. In other words, you're trying to pretend to be somebody that you're not, and there's a lot with every type of surgery. There's always side effects. And I don't think people understand that by taking these hormones, you're screwing up your biological makeup. It's witchcraft, it's evil. That's what I firmly believe.
Okay, and I would agree with you there.
I was just at a convenience store and I didn't know if the person was a man or a woman. And the other issue that's going on, and I'm sure you've seen this, that people are being fired or losing their job because they won't identify somebody by their pronoun.
Oh
That's
yeah, that's insane.
ridiculous.
That's insane. I'd like to tell you about a place that I worked, but I don't want to mention the name of that business on the air. 'Cause, you know, it's on a. I just don't want to single one company out. I mean, I've worked in many different capacities and I've seen quite a bit. And that what you were talking about, yeah, I didn't like that at all. I don't agree with, or do I support someone who has a mental illness and encouraging it? Because I
Right.
know that there's two genders. I know that.
Of course,
And,
there's
right. So the other thing that what I think about transgenderism is that is going to be the pathway to pedophilia.
correct.
I think I've seen a TED talk where they were saying that it's not a sickness, that it's a preference.
It's a
Well,
sick.
right. Aren't there preferences that one could attribute as a mental illness? I mean, they're trying to normalize it,
Right.
and unfortunately, because you have other evil people who have that same intent, is to normalize society's sickness, society's weakness. As a matter of fact, I would dare say that society is purposely being turned away from God.
Right.
Because we don't do enough talking about God and what our purpose is when it comes to Him, why He created us individually. I mean,
Right.
we could definitely we can talk bad about God. We can blame Him for everything that's happening in the world, but yet we won't accept the responsibility that we're the ones that contribute to it.
Right.
And they'll, what is it that they like to do a lot? They like to quote the Old Testament. Oh, well, he did this. He had people killed. And yes, those things happen. But if you don't read into the reason behind it, if you don't accept that we are accursed people, that He knew that this is, what man's fate is, then you can't blame Him.
Right.
And the fact that He doesn't interfere is part of what people say is the love that He shares for His creation by not creating them like robots, by giving them that free will. And that should be a reminder to people that when they're kids and they and their parents punish them for something, they don't punish them. At least, I hope most of them don't. They don't punish them because they get joy out of it. They punish them because they love them, because they don't want them to, in some cases, repeat the same mistakes that they made as young adults.
Mm-hmm.
They want to nurture their children to be the best that they can be, and live a good, honest, fruitful life. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with it. But society, nowadays, they just twist things. Society is going in this downward spiral, and it's a shame. I guess the biggest shame is that other people don't see it. Other people are desensitized to it, and they're okay with it.
Right.
And I'm not. You're not, obviously.
Right.
All right, so we covered transgenderism. We could probably say the same thing about homosexuality. That's a sickness, that's a perversion, and and we could easily put homosexuality to rest by quoting what the Bible says, because I've seen homosexuals say that, well, Jesus loves me for what I am, and I accept Him, and I surrender myself to Him. Okay, if that's the case, then why do you continue in that lifestyle? It's kind of like a contradiction when you say that, and you're still going to be homosexual. And it's very clear that this is a lifestyle that he spoke of, an abomination. And when I use that word abomination, it's a very strong and powerful word. Anyway, abomination is a very strong word because it doesn't place a blame on your creator. What it does is it places blame on ourselves because he created us perfectly in his image.
Mm-hmm.
And to him, when you have homosexuality, it's a very big disappointment that his creation would, run afoul like that. I mean, during Noah's days, which we're actually repeating at this time, in our history, he wiped out humanity. He wiped everything out off the planet. Now, some will say that, well, that was extreme. But the circumstances that people avoid is everything leading up to that flood, what was happening. There was a lot of debauchery. There was a lot of evil,
mm-hmm.
That we can't even, right now we couldn't even fathom the type of evil that existed in those days.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been revealed, by John in the book of Revelation of what is going to happen. It's very clear that we're going to see, what happened in Noah's days. We're going to see it right before our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So now, what it was that happened during Noah's days is no longer something that one could say, well, I couldn't imagine. Well, guess what? You're not going to have to because you're going to witness it, and you're witnessing it now. And like I said, the things that I'm seeing, like I said, the way people behave, the entertainment industry, politicians, even some countries, and like, for example, the Islamification or radicalization of people into Islam. People should be concerned about.
Well, yeah, I mean, Islam is a cult. Muhammad is a pedophile.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And how? Wow, I mean, that blows my mind that history shows that he married a 6-year-old, and that's acceptable. And I've even posted videos of Arab men with young girls, and the first thing that comes to mind is, what if that was your child? What if that was your daughter?
Right.
I mean, would you accept it then? It's like we're ignoring it. It's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happens. This is like you said, it's a cult. I think it's just savage behavior, if you ask me.
Right.
Very savage.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would probably end up in prison if that was my kid being married off to an older person.
Right.
When that knock came on your door, right? You didn't have an out of body experience, right?
No.
It was just like your consciousness waking up.
Correct.
Saying, "Hey, Matt, wake up.
Right.
This is real."
Yeah. If you continue being dishonest, lying, stealing, you're going to end up in jail for the rest of your life.
Do you work with youth, with adults? When you talk about yourself and your experience, do you do anything like that?
I would love to have connections, but no, I don't.
You don't.
No.
So getting your word out then happens like with opportunities like this.
Right.
That you speak with.
Right.
Have you spoken to anybody else?
You mean on podcasts? Yeah, I've been on about 35, actually about 40, 50 podcasts.
And I've never heard of you.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
Right.
Huh. Getting that message out is a lot harder than
it
you
is.
thought, huh? It is.
No, I pretty much knew it was going to be an uphill battle.
And you've accepted that challenge.
Yeah, because life is an uphill battle. Most people don't just get everything handed to them.
Right. And you're right. So let me ask you something. What makes you a better person now than you were before? Like if you could pinpoint those things.
I'm able to put myself in another person's shoes.
Okay.
I think I'm a lot more. I'm perfectly okay with showing sadness, and um, I don't suffocate emotions
Excuse me.
like I once did.
When you say suffocate, can you?
So I allow emotion to be present.
Gotcha.
I am perfectly comfortable crying. I don't care what other people may think, because crying actually is healthy.
What way?
It releases things in your body that's helpful.
So along with and I'm not trying to make fun here. So along with a good diet and a good mental diet,
Right.
that can make you a better person.
Yeah, I mean, crying flushes out stress hormones and endorphins and allows you to be calm.
Do you read the Bible?
I do. I'm in the Bible every single day.
Wow.
And my discipline started when I spent a lot of time in solitary confinement. So I was reading my Bible, I was praying, I was getting into good habits. Because it's a lot harder, it's easier to get distracted out here than it is in a prison. In a prison, you're behind a wall. There's not a lot of distractions. There's a lot of time. Here, I mean, it's very easy to hop on a porn site, for example. Porn is way too accessible.
I agree. Way too accessible.
And offers nothing. It's ruined marriages. It's caused the sex industry to explode. There's only a few states, usually in the South, that are restricting porn. And I shouldn't say they're restricting. You have to be 18 years or older, so they're not really restricting it.
Does that sound morally sane that you're restricting it by putting an age limit on it?
No, it doesn't.
What a sad world we live in. So,
Right.
Matt, this is wow. This test is going on a whole lot longer than I anticipated.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought this was just a test, like 5 minutes, and then that was it.
Yeah, we've actually been talking for 42 minutes, but that's good because you're easily engageable. I think that's a word, right? It's easy to engage with you.
Oh yes.
I think we need to put a face to this conversation. I'm hoping that when we do a real recording here, that we're able to pick up where we left off. Although everything that I've recorded is very good information.
Right.
So, would you like to take a break and we'll do a real recording here?
How long will it be?
It's up to you.
Okay.
It could be 5 minutes, 15 minutes, Grab something to drink, wash your face.
Yeah.
I'm going to wash my face.
All right, sounds good.
All right.